And so far, so good. It looks like we're moving smoothly. It looks like we're moving smoothly. Because, again, sometimes when I try to do this, it does not cooperate. It wants to be stupid. It wants to not work. I don't know why. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to another stream. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, guys. This is GVS. Let's get into it. Let's talk things that happened in the basketball world, and let's cover the March Madness bracket. Glad you guys are here. So we had our games. We had our first four down here. We had our UMBC versus Howard game where Howard won 86-83. We had the Texas game where Texas hung on for the 2-point victory, 68-66. We had the Prairie View against Lehigh. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of leaning just because of the history of what the tournament has been with Lehigh, which Coach Krzyzewski was talking about this a little bit earlier on the Pat McAfee show about Lehigh. So, you know, I was kind of going, okay, maybe Lehigh, but no, Lehigh didn't win. And then we have the Miami, Ohio versus SMU game, which I'm going to talk briefly about this and give my reaction because I think Miami played excellent. I think it's kind of funny that a lot of people were just assuming that Miami, Ohio was going to roll over and just get boat raced in this game. And, well, it looks like they had the last laugh because they ended up winning. They move on. They're going to play Tennessee. And I'm very... We'll see. We'll see how it freaking goes with the Tennessee. I've kind of actually stuck by my guns here where I picked... We got to go down a little bit, scroll down a little bit. Where I said, I want to see Miami, Ohio against Michigan in the Midwest final. Because there's parts of me where I want to see that. I want to see where this team's been overlooked and this team has been questioned on why the heck are they even in the tournament. They don't even deserve to be in the tournament. And there's parts of me where it's like I would love to see, and I would think it would be so funny if Miami, Ohio, after everybody laughed that they shouldn't be there, they go through a number 2 Iowa State in the Sweet 16 matchup, or they meet up in the round of 32 against the ACC runners-up, which was Virginia, and they beat them kind of like how they beat SMU by 10 points or more. Because there was a point in the 2018 bracket, myself included, I didn't think, like a lot of other people, I didn't think Loyola Chicago was going to go far, and they did. They went all the way to the Final Four where they ended up meeting Michigan. But I think the Miami, Ohio team it has potential to be a Cinderella run, and they have the potential to be a Cinderella team. I'm also looking at Santa Clara. I think Santa Clara could be a Cinderella team because I'm not trusting Kentucky. I'm not. There, I said it. And the other one that's kind of funny too, with how far I think Houston can get and the potential of them winning the national championship, there is parts of me where, what if Idaho's like, we have the funniest story to tell you, and then boom, they get a huge upset because people will talk about if, like the way we still talk about Oral Roberts, St. Peter's, Loyola Chicago, and all these other teams that have been huge upsets, Idaho can join that elite list because you look at how the remainder of, VCU or, it just depends on who. I've seen lots of people have put Illinois in the Final Four, which I don't get it. I don't know where this hype is coming from because I heard more about Wisconsin, Michigan, Nebraska, and Michigan State in the Big Ten regular season. I heard more news about them and highlights and lowlights. Where's all this Illinois hype coming from? I don't know. But like you look at the way this bracket plays out, 64-32 Sweet 16. Their first test, I would say, would probably be this Sweet 16 matchup against Illinois or VCU because I think with North Carolina missing their freshmen, I'm thinking VCU can, pick some things up here, and then we could have an 11-3 matchup, and then we can get an upset. Because some people, I have seen a few brackets pick Penn, and it's like, what are we doing? But again, with how easy this path looks for Houston to just, okay, spot the ball, they're already in the Elite Eight, waiting for Vanderbilt or Florida or Nebraska. It's like, what if the funniest thing happens and Idaho beats them? And it's like, whoops. And then this could leave the door wide open for St. Mary's to come through, and then VCU find their way, or Illinois. Like, if Houston goes down, that could open the door for anybody in this 8-team quadrant to find themselves as one of the teams in the Elite Eight matchup for the final, winner to the Final Four. So, anyways. Looks like we're still running smoothly, which is pretty good. Glad that's running smoothly, guys. Sorry, sometimes it just, I don't know. It looks like we're still running smooth, so that is good. You know, it truthfully too, it could be just the beefiness of some of the games because, oh shit, I didn't even mess with the mic. Is the mic too loud? Oh, I didn't even realize that. Hold on, let me turn down the mic a little bit. I realized we got a hot mic, and I will definitely all right. Let me turn that mic down. Let me turn the mic way down. Sorry, people. I forgot we have a hot mic. We have a very hot mic. Let me turn that down. Let me turn that all the way down. Let's do some... Can I work a little more on it? Let me... Can we do a little bit more? Let me do... Oh boy, how about now? Oh boy, how about now? Let's go down here. Let's hover around here. And I'm gonna leave it right here. Nobody touch it. Nobody touch it. Let me just leave it right here. And again, like this is a testing stream. We're kind of testing the waters a little bit because we got some stuff coming up. Because we got a lot of games to go over, and we're gonna go over a lot of games too. And I'm just gonna be really disappointed if my streams start bugging and it's like, whoa, you can't what? You know, because I'm trying to give a reaction to, oh my hell, McNeese just hit a buzzer beater against Vanderbilt, but I can't record and my reaction and stream at the same time, or something stupid like that. So, sorry, I haven't even given my reaction to the Miami game against SMU today. I think it was a really good game. I came in a little bit before halftime. I was watching the captain's return, Captain Sidney Crosby. I was watching the Penguins versus Hurricanes game, which we can talk a little bit about hockey later in the stream. But one thing that I noticed about this Miami Ohio game with SMU is it was kind of close in some parts, but then there was that second half where they started to drain some clutch threes, and then they just kind of extended the lead, and you could feel the momentum shifting. There was an 8-0 run at one point, and then SMU came back with a 9-0 run too, and then because they exchanged runs there towards the middle part of the second half. But then, like you saw, just Miami started to pull away. And then for the last 2.5 of the game or something around there, that's where they were just kind of fouling and just playing the waiting game. Like, I really, when basketball turns into that, it turns very boring for me personally. I think, I don't know. Now, it did make it interesting because there was one player from SMU that did drain a clutch three that cut it to like 9 points, 6 points or 9 points. But again, there was like 20 seconds left in the game. We were under a minute to go. And like, it was interesting because it's like, oh, okay. But again, when they inbounded the ball again, Miami went to the charity stripe, put 2 more on him to extend the lead. It must have cut the lead down to like 8 or something, because then it put the lead back to 10, which is ultimately what they won by. They won by 10, but I mean, just the lead got a little bit too big, and then, the rest was history. Miami's on to the official bracket, which time will tell. I could see in a handful of years from now where they go to an even. All the 16 teams have 2 teams fighting for it. All the 15 seeds have 2 teams fighting for it. I could see a point where, because again, we've had discourse every year over like, they should extend it, because the people that were complaining about college playoffs staying the same in the 4-team format and talking about extension, they kept talking about basketball and how when basketball expanded, like you expand the teams to 64. Well, teams 65 and 66 are going to be like, oh, why can't we get in? And I'm thinking, I'm not going to be surprised if in the next handful of years, because they call it the first 4, which on the other website you can see the four games that are playing. I would not be surprised if it's the first 10, the first 8, where teams 1 through 4, so like Florida, Nebraska, Illinois, and Houston, all these guys, they sit and they wait for their teams to come and show, and they're sitting in each bracket, or we specifically pick the South bracket or the West bracket, just depending on how stacked it is that year or whatever. But yeah, the 15 seeds, the 16 seeds, the 16, 15, 14, and 13, all of them play for a shot. Because there's parts of me where it's like, what qualifies, like, for example, why does this 14 seed Kennesaw State get an automatic bid, but then Texas has to go play NC State in a first to 4? Like, I don't, again, maybe I will admit I should do a little bit more research, but I guess I don't understand what qualified Kennesaw State or even High Point, because High Point's a 12 seed, so they're ranked lower. Missouri's a 10 seed, they're ranked a little bit higher. What qualified those 2 teams to have an automatic bid where they get to go play Gonzaga versus Texas, where we got to give you 1 game against NC State, winner take all, you get to go play BYU. I wonder where those decisions come from, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know why it's like that. If somebody can help me understand why, that'd be greatly appreciated, because I will admit I do not know why it is like that. So, but I could see in the near future we could get to a situation where, yeah, all the 16s have 2 teams playing, all the 15 seeds have 2 teams playing, and then the first 4 will be labeled something totally different. Because, I mean, there is parts of me where you go to the standings or like the runners-up in the ACC or the runners-up in the Big Ten, where it's like, what if, for example, which UCLA got in, so it's fun, but like UCLA beat Michigan State. What about some of the other Big Ten teams that would have had a run in the tournament that came up just a little short? You know what I mean? I don't know. And then there's other parts of me too, because this is another thing that I want to talk about a little bit with, in fact, let's do it with this page, which hopefully, okay, good, that audio hasn't been playing. Let's look at the stats. Stat-wise, that does help when your opponent is shooting 24% from the 3-point. There was a huge dunk, too, in this game. But, yeah, sometime around, middle of the second quarter, just that's when they started to pull away. Good game. So then let's go standings here. Because and again, this is just my own opinion. This is why I love how Miami, Ohio won, and they're where they're at right now. I'm nervous about Tennessee, but again, like, there's parts of me that I do want to see something like this pan out. Where, actually, let me fill some things in here. Okay. That, if I'm going to be legit, that's probably how my Midwest is looking. I think because I saw a lot of people are riding really high with Texas Tech. They got injuries. They are sitting where BYU is, where they got some guys that are missing time. And then one of Alabama's, is it one of Alabama's starters? Somebody from the red team. It was either Alabama or Texas Tech. Louisville. No, it's Louisville. There's a player on Louisville that's sitting, and he's unable to play tomorrow. So there's parts of me where I was leaning towards South Florida. I'm leaning even more now because he won't be playing. And I think, yeah, you miss starters. You have starters missing time. It's going to affect. I see High Point over here too. High Point's that team also where a lot of people are talking about picking 12 seeds, because you should at least pick one 12 seed to beat a 5 seed. Well, Northern Iowa is not beating St. John's unless it's a buzzer beater. I don't see High Point beating Wisconsin, so those are easy. You come down here. Where's your 5 seed? McNeese, I don't think is beating Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt was runner-up in the SEC. So then Akron's our last one. Akron would be the 12 seed that I would pick to win, only because Texas Tech has some guys that are injured and missing time. But seeing the quality of wins that Texas Tech has had, I'm still going to pick them. And I don't see any 5 seed getting an upset. I really don't. I know McNeese. Didn't McNeese beat Clemson last year or something? I don't know. Okay, we still live. We still good? Okay. I got about 10 more minutes. Just because I like this stream is actually going through a lot smoother than I thought it would. I was really nervous that it would give me fits, which it's not giving me fits, which is good. I'm going to check back on the audio and the mic and all that. We'll check that later because now is not the time. Now is not the time to mess with that. So, but yeah, no, I think it's super cool that Miami, Ohio is where they're at after their win. And so then we come to here because this is the other thing that I was going to talk about and bring up with Miami, Ohio, and them being in the tournament. Maybe I already talked about it and touched up on it a little bit. Is you look at, because I'm trying to, okay, let's go here with the Big South. Again, this is my opinion. Winthrop, we have seen Winthrop in the last handful of tournaments. We also saw Charleston Southern in one of the tournaments. I believe it was the 22 year. We've seen Longwood. Longwood was, I believe, in the 21 year. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know we have seen Winthrop because I do think this logo is pretty cool. And so that's kind of how I visually would remember it. I would give a lot of credit, kind of like how we're giving it to High Point because High Point ended up winning the Big South. If Winthrop went 30-3, like they had one less, 29-4. If they went 29-4, or they went 30-4 as well, if they had the same exact record as High Point, I'd be arguing and making the case for Winthrop to go. Because I really think, like, you look at a 3-loss team, a 6-loss team, they're in, and you look and you see Miami, Ohio has only 1 loss, and they went undefeated in the regular season. I'd still feel the same way about Hawaii, UC San Diego, any of these teams in the Big West, because I think even with the Coastal Athletic too, because a lot of these teams, I remember didn't Campbell play? Campbell was in it like 2 or 3 years ago. They were in it in 23 because they played Alabama and got blown out. Um, or was it UNC? It was probably because there was there's the Tennessee team. Where's the Tennessee team? Tennessee team played one year and they got blown out by like 60 points. It was bad. It was real bad. Super bad. But man, maybe what? Where to go? I know it was somewhere around here. But regardless of whatever hell conference you're in and stuff, with how many conference and how many teams there are, there's parts of me where, with the committee and how they made this, with how they made the schedule and how the schedule ended up playing itself out, Miami had no control over who they played. You know what I mean? Like, it's Miami's scheduling, which is why they didn't play any SEC teams, any Big 12 teams, ACC, you name it, you know. And then you look at their resume, yeah, there are no ranked wins. But I think what's impressive enough is the fact that they won 31 straight games. And I think I'd say the same thing too if Nebraska, because Nebraska started off 20-0 and then they started losing some games towards the end of the season, or Purdue, where I think that if you have, no matter what conference you are in, and you have 3 losses or less, there should be an argument, doesn't matter what conference you're in, you should have an automatic bid because you won 30 games, because you won 27 or more games. Because, you know, it's not your fault that, you know, Mid-America Conference is pretty mid, or that the Missouri Valley Conference didn't compete and you were, for the whole season, arguably 7 games in front of everybody, 8 games ahead. You know, like, it's not your fault. That's recruiting. That's the guys that probably would have played on these teams or whatever. They're going to bigger schools. Like, that's not your fault. That's not in your control. So, I don't know. I've just seen a lot of people complaining and talking about, you know, and so that's how I feel about that. Like, you look at these overalls here. Nobody here is in single digits. So it's like, yeah, truthfully, your Troy should be the only team going. You look at this. Yeah, we should have 3 teams in the dance, and sure enough, all 3 of those teams are in the dance. California Baptist, don't know where they're. Weren't they a first of 4 game? I don't know. Like, there are so many. Aren't there 35 with the 35 leagues that you have, and how you have to fit 90-ish teams, because remember there's the first of 4. At one point, it doesn't even matter how many top 10 wins you have, or ranked wins, or losses, or whatever. You can just go alphabetically from the top to the bottom, or just hit the win-loss and just let it sort itself out and be like, okay, these 64 teams, automatic bid, because these are your best records. I don't know. I know that sounds stupid and complicated, but no. Central Connecticut with 12 losses should not be going to, you know, which, by the way, where are they? I never saw them in the bracket, and they only have 6 losses. But a 12-loss team should not go in over, let me find, maybe a Charleston with only 11 losses. They've been in it recently. They played Bama a couple years ago. Or Hawaii, who has 8 losses. Anyways, all right, I'm going to quit yapping. Let's jump sports. Let's talk about the NHL, because Sidney Crosby is back. This was some big news. If you guys like hockey. So we know about his injury. He got injured kind of in a non-contact play against Radko Gudas in the Olympic Games. I don't think it was actually dirty. A lot of people said it was. And a lot of people think it was pretty intentional, considering that you fast forward and he had a knee-to-knee contact with Austin Matthews, and Matthews is going to miss the remainder of the season. To me, when you watch the video, it looked like he was going down before Gvs even made contact with him. I would have issues with other players on, who did they play? Were they playing Czechia? Or like just the amount of pressure and defense that was put on. Like they were hitting him late and on other, transition plays. But he went down with that knee injury. They labeled it lower body. Glad he's back, because I'm not gonna lie, I thought he tore his ACL. Because you saw that his leg buckled, and it's like, well, okay, that's usually when your leg buckles like that on a football field, that's your ACL. Like, just ask Malik Neighbors, I know it's not your ACL, but you go a little bit lower to the ankle, you get a broken ankle. Ask Gordon Hayward, ask Cam Scatterby. These are more recent injuries that I can remember off the top of my head of them breaking their ankles. But he's back, and this game was super fun, super entertaining. The third, so I started to watch, I think, a little bit after might have been the Carlson goal or something, because I got the notification that he was back, and then I think I got the notification on this or something. But then I started watching the game, and I noticed how, every single time Carolina scored, the Penguins scored to even it up. And then the other thing, too, is Anderson was on net for Carolina. Skinner was on net for the Penguins. So why it was such a high-scoring game, I have no clue, because it just turned into one of those games. Because I think, respectfully speaking, I think both goalkeepers are phenomenal. Why people question what teams they should be on is beyond me. I think Anderson is still probably the future of the Hurricanes. And for the Penguins to get Skinner, it's all right, sick, because I think he's a pretty reliable goalie. Anyways, yeah, I do remember the Brian Rust goal, and then Stankoven, they evened it up and then took the lead right here with Stankoven 4-3. And with how late it was into the game, it was okay, we will just see how the remainder of this game goes. But then back-to-back, it was literally back-to-back, Carlson had his second goal of the day, and then there was just this breakaway, which it was a great defensive transition play where it was poked away and intercepted, and then Kendall was flying down the ice backwards, and then he just had a breakaway where he went glove side, took the lead, and just what seemed, it's 4-3, boys, it was a good game. No shame if you guys lose. Turned into, holy cow, we have the lead 5-4, and there's about 5 minutes left in the game. But then we saw Miller, so they did give it to Miller. This one was kind of a redirect. It hit off of a couple people going into the net, but it was a fun goal. And then we went to overtime, where Sebastian Aho gives the assist to Walker, and then Carolina ends up winning. I haven't checked up on. Ooh, those are some cool pads. The Elvis look. I haven't looked at the standings lately in the NHL. I couldn't tell you who. I knew the Sabres were on top of the Atlantic after the last time these two teams played. Where is it? Yes, this game. Because this game was freaking amazing. This is a fun game. I didn't tune into this game till the third period also, just because I saw that there were fights and highlights of the fights going on, and I thought, it's Buffalo, it's Tampa, I'm not too interested. But then I saw the fights, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. These were some fun highlights, and I saw that it was whoa, this was in the first period. Is this game still going? And then I saw that it was heading into the third, so I just turned it on and watched. Yeah. 7 goals. 7 goals alone in the third period. It was a freaking crazy game. And also considering that Tampa was up 7-5, yeah, it was freaking wild. Freaking wild. Good game. And then after they took the top, if you remember how this game ended, there were fights at the very end of the game. Things got a little little scrappy there at the end, but yeah, I knew Tampa was probably one of the better teams in the East. I actually do not know. I have not checked. Is the Carolina Hurricanes. Okay, Hurricanes are number 1. Sabres, Tampa. I am so surprised the Penguins are the 5. Wow. Oh my God. Look at you 3. What the hell are you 3 doing? What the hell are you 4 doing down here? Okay, do not give me the Powerball. I would have, yikes. I thought all 4 of these teams were going to get to the, yikes. I thought Toronto was going to win the Atlantic, and if it wasn't Toronto, I would have given it to Detroit. I thought the Canes would win the Metro, and if not the Canes, I gave it to the Capitals. For the Central, I think I picked the Avalanche, but if not the Avalanche, the Stars. No, I gave it to the Jets, my bad. Yes, I remember. I picked the Jets, and then if not the Jets, I picked the Avalanche. And then out of the Pacific, I think I gave it to either Vegas or Edmonton. So that the fact that the Ducks are there is pretty cool. If I were to pick a Stanley Cup final matchup right now, like right now. Oh gosh. Let's just go with the West first. The Avalanche. Yeah, let's go with the West first. Either the Avalanche or the Avalanche. And then but they're probably gonna get maybe this could be the year the Stars, because the Stars have gone to 3 straight Western Conference Finals, and they haven't been able to get over that hump. And I just think, I don't know. Truthfully, they're probably not going to go to the final, just because, like, what happened to the 1 seed in the West last year, the Jets. Like, the Jets lost to, oh gosh, who did the Jets lose to last season? The Stars, I think. They lost to somebody. Oh, they lost to Dallas. Okay, they lost to Dallas. And then Dallas ended up losing to Edmonton because Vegas played Minnesota, and then Edmonton played. Who did Edmonton play? Edmonton played the Avs, I think. No. Yes. No. I don't remember. I don't remember. Anyways, but for the West, I'm probably gonna pick the Avs, which is no ball knowledge at all, like no ball knowledge at all. I don't know. I don't think the Stars. I don't know. I don't think Minnesota could beat them in 7 games. I don't think Anaheim could. I don't think Edmonton will without Draisaitl. I don't think Utah will. I think Vegas could, but Vegas has to get out of their own way, because Vegas could very well miss the playoffs if they're not careful. And then from the East, I would say shit. I think it's up for grabs. I don't think Buffalo's going. Well, actually, it could be Carolina. And I know that's like really, dude, those are, you're picking the 2-1 seeds. But like, I don't I don't think Tampa's going, because I think these two teams are going to meet up. Because wait, hold on, let's go with division. Okay, so Carolina would play. Where's that? There we go. There's the stats. There's the stats I need. So Buffalo would play Detroit. Oh, no. Carolina would play Detroit, and I'm kind of leaning the way of the Wings. I kind of am, because if it's played out like this, I could see the, oh shit, maybe the Penguins could win it. I think the East is very wide open if the Florida Panthers are not going. If the Rangers, Panthers, and the Capitals, who were problems, and the Senators a little bit, because the Senators made it to the second round. No, they didn't. No. I think they only won 2 games against the Leafs. Never mind. But if the reason why I think the East could be wide open is because if Carolina plays Detroit, I could see Detroit beating Carolina. I really could. And the Buffalo Sabres playing the Boston Bruins. Come on. I think Boston. So we could potentially have 2 of the wild card teams knock off number 1 and 2. And then Tampa against Montreal. Come on, give me the Lightning. And then Pittsburgh against the Islanders. Probably Pittsburgh. Hopefully with the league goaltending. And then all of a sudden, let's reshuffle the boards back here to standings here. Back to conference. So Tampa and Pitt would be the home teams, and so then Tampa's the higher seed. Like, just with how the bracket's set up, like it would just automatically go to this, because that's what quadrant they would be in. But these 2 guys are the homes, and then Boston would go play Tampa, and then Detroit would go play Pittsburgh. And I could see Detroit upsetting Pittsburgh, and then we have Tampa versus the Red Wings in the Eastern Final, because I don't think Boston could beat Tampa. Maybe they could, but I don't see, with how many pieces Tampa has gotten rid of since their 3 Stanley Cup runs. I just don't see them getting back. Like, that has been a reoccurring trend in hockey, even since the Blackhawk days and the King days. You go through your little heyday, you have your little era, and then you don't go back. Look at the Kings, Blackhawks, Penguins, Lightning, the Avs and the Avs and the Vegas. The Avs and Vegas were like sprinkled in there, but lately it's been Edmonton and Florida. Both of those teams might not even make the postseason, and so it's like, I have a feeling we're going to get fresh new teams where we could see Minnesota and Buffalo. Which, how weird would that be? Buffalo versus Minnesota, where it's like, well, Buffalo hasn't been to the postseason in and they went all the way to the Cup. I don't know. I don't see it. I think there needs to just be a little bit of there needs to be a handful of things together. There needs to be elite, and I mean elite, goalie play, and then also your guys just have to play phenomenal hockey, and your defense just needs to show up. So, all right, guys, that will be that. Let me see. How are we doing on time so far? How are we doing on time, people? Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet. All right, we're doing good on time. So, we are going to end the stream here, though. I thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to watch a gaming stream, come pop on over. We're going to end this stream, and then we'll queue up a gaming stream, and then we'll play a little bit of games tonight. But I thought I'd just give my thoughts on March Madness, but then also a little bit on hockey, because those were the things tonight. With the NFL, wait, let's leave this page. The NFL, excuse me, I think the NFL, there's nothing. Oh yeah, Wilson retired. I don't think anything else. Oh, these are pretty cool. These are cool visuals. Jalen Waddle, that was the other day. I don't know. There hasn't been too many free agency stuff. I made a meme about Tyreek Hill, where it's like, hey, when's Tyreek going to? I still think Tyreek's going to end up on the Chiefs. That's just me. And then tomorrow's games, you know what? We got TCU, Ohio State, and then all the way down. All the way down. I think the best games of the day will probably be this one. This one looks like it could be real good. I'm actually interested in this one. I really think this one could go either way. And I kind of think this one could go either way. So two games that could go either way. Texas BYU, and then St. Louis Georgia. And again, Idaho has the chance to do the funniest thing ever, because I've looked at a lot of frickin' brackets, and a lot of people have Houston going super far. So, myself included, I believe I have them in the Final Four. Because I have them meeting up with Florida in the final for that region, and then I have them getting a little bit of sweet revenge. This one could be a good one too, a 7 and a 10. But I'm looking at, not only am I looking at this number, even though this is a totally made up number, but I'm looking at the teams as well, because I don't know if Pennsylvania can beat Illinois. It feels icky. It feels icky to be like, yeah, I think a 13-loss Kennesaw State can beat Gonzaga. No, I don't think they actually can. Now, there was, where are they? A 4-loss High Point team. That's the other reason why a lot of people are circling this game, and this could be an upset for Wisconsin, because High Point has 4 losses. Where, kind of like with my argument earlier about, hey, yeah, a team that has less than 5 losses should be in the tournament no matter what. You're looking at a team where it's like, uh-oh. Ugh. But, I don't know. Looks like I'm still going to pick Wisconsin. I'll sleep on it, but I'd roll with Ohio State, Nebraska, South Florida, Wisconsin, Dookie, Vanderbilt, Michigan State, Arkansas. I'm leaning VCU right now. We'll see how I feel in the morning. But Michigan, BYU, St. Mary's. I could see A&M though. This is one of the games where I'm like, you know what, this could go either way. Illinois, St. Louis. I'm gonna rock with St. Louis, Gonzaga, and Houston. So those would be my predictions. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna end the stream here. If you guys want to see a gaming stream, give me about 5 minutes. I'll get that stream all queued up and set up to go and stuff. But other than that, guys, I thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I'll see you guys in a minute. Peace.